everyone. Welcome. We'll just wait a couple more minutes to get some more people in here. All right, we got a good chunk of people, so we will get started. So welcome. You are in the presentation for transfer pathways to ASU Online. So we will jump right in. Okay. So we are your presenters today. So I'll kick it off. My name is Elizabeth McCuller. I'm a Learner Engagement Manager with EdPlus at ASU. And we talk with community college advisors like you, sharing about ASU. And I will pass it off to Jelena.
Hello and welcome. Welcome. We're so glad to have you here. I am that other 50% of the learner engagement team. And as Elizabeth said, our main responsibility is outreach to community colleges across the United States, including advisors, transfer coordinators, advising directors. So now you have our names, you have our faces, and we hope throughout this presentation and afterwards, you will not hesitate to reach out to us. And with that, I wanted to pass it on to Luis.
Hello, everybody. My name is Luis Tachiquin. I am one of the assistant directors for ASU Online student recruitment, and my department and teams work with those students that are interested in transferring into ASU Online.
Great. And very quickly, just going over our agenda, we will share a little bit about ASU Charter and rankings. We will talk about ASU Online enrollment facts and how they relate to the community college transfer students. We will share a lot of information how ASU Online works. So in turn, you will be able to share that info with your students interested in transferring to Arizona State Online. And then we will go over some transfer tools, including My Path to ASU, that will help that seamless transfer experience for your students. Well, first of all, we start all our presentations with charters, not because only we are attached to it, but because it really holds a lot of meanings to us as an institution, and because it informs many of our decisions, many of our programs and initiatives. First of all, ASU as an institution prides itself on being a university that measures ourselves not by whom we exclude, but by whom we include and how they succeed. And you will see that echoed throughout this presentation and probably many other presentations this week, because all the initiatives that we talk about, all the tools that we talk about speak to that inclusivity that we're trying to obtain. Secondary, we are an institution that dedicates ourselves to research and discovery of public value, including involving our online students in research. And finally, we do take fundamental responsibilities for the communities which we serve. And this includes not only Arizona, not only West and Southwest, not only US, but our global community as well. And as we live up to our charter and try to push ourselves further, we have collected several accolades and rankings. I do believe that every institution is so much more than rankings and numbers, but a few laid out here are particularly important to us. We're #1 in the US for innovation, 8th year in a row. And this particular ranking is so important to us because it's in a way a peer recognition and voted on by leaders, presidents, provosts of other higher ed institutions. Living up to that global challenge, we are doing well there too. So we're #1 in the United States and #2 internationally for global impact, including sustainability, including influencing the communities. But finally, when it comes to students, they want to know what ASU can individually do for me for my career development, for my professional path. So we're quite happy that we've been voted number 3 in the world in excellence in employer-student connections. And we support our students in their career pursuits, not as they approach the graduation, but the moment they start their academic journey with ASU. And finally, a few things about ASU Online and why your students are looking at ASU Online. We have been voted top 10 online bachelor degrees programs over years, with several programs having even higher rankings. One example is our Bachelor's in Business program, which has been rated number 1 in the US News and World Report for last year. And we work really hard to be a military-friendly institution. So we have been number 4 for best online bachelor's programs for veterans, and we're very proud of that. And with that, I will pass it to Luis to share a little bit who are our transfer students.
It's amazing. So many students throughout the US are choosing ASU Online to complete their education. Just this past fall alone, we have over 31,000 total transfer students. And for transfer students entering into ASU Online, they actually make up 72% of our total undergraduate student body. And we know some of our transfer students are more traditional in nature, and we also know some are a little non-traditional in nature. Our average age for transferred students into ASU is 29 years old. And as you can see in the regional map here, we have students coming to ASU Online from everywhere within the US. Now, traditionally speaking, we would anticipate interest from students in Arizona, California, and Texas. But as you can see here with the state of Washington and Florida coming up with our number 4th and number 5th most popular states for transfer students, it really is amazing to see. Now, when those students express interest in ASU, what programs with ASU Online are they interested in? If we go to the next slide, you'll see what we would normally recognize and anticipate are business programs, obviously being ranked number 1 for business programs online in the nation, as well as information and technology and our liberal studies programs. But interesting enough, our top 2 programs of interest for students looking to come to ASU Online are biological sciences and psychology. Overall, in fall of 2022, we had over 61,500 students enrolled through ASU Online, representing an increase of 6.9% year over year. And a large component of this was driven by students transferring into ASU, particularly pursuing these top 5 programs. I'll pass it over to Elizabeth.
There we go. Perfect. And I can touch on how those programs work. So our degree programs are offered 100% online, and they are available to students 24 hours a day. So they can fit these classes into their schedule through their busy week. There are over 300 degree programs that are offered online as well. And we are set up in 7.5-week sessions for our online programs. So students will take anywhere between 1 and 3 courses per 7.5-week session. And with that, we have flexible start dates. So typically 2 in the fall, 2 in the spring, and 2 in the summer. So again, really focusing on that flexibility for students, being able to start when it's right for them. Our online programs are also taught by the same world-class faculty that teach our campus programs. So they're held to the same academic standard. It's the same degree program that they're earning, just through a different modality. And then students do have a personalized suite of support services, and you'll see some of those listed here. A couple that we like to mention are our online tutoring. So this covers many subjects, not just kind of the basic math and English. Students can utilize this through meeting one-on-one with tutors, submitting papers for review. There's a bunch of different worksheets, videos, tools that students can take advantage of. We also utilize 360 Life Services, which is our counseling platform. So students have access to that to take care of their mental health while they're going through their program as well. And one other service that online students have access to is our RS program. So again, research for our online students. They can do research in natural sciences, social sciences, and humanities. And this might be something new to hear that research can be done online through the degree programs, but up next we have a short video on how our labs work, and that can also explain how our research works. So let me...
The ASU Digital Learning Platform brings the traditional classroom lab to an online environment, allowing students to fully immerse in the lab experience.
From a teaching and learning perspective, these laboratory activities are essential for learning important concepts and procedures, improving science literacy, and pursuing a successful career in a related profession. In other words, lab experiences provide opportunities to interact directly with the material world, use the tools, apply data collection techniques, and create scientific models.
Labs that are offered in the digital online environment can be categorized into the following types: digital simulations, lab kits, kitchen labs, and video-based labs. Digital simulations are interactive labs that occur in a simulated environment via software or web-based applications. These types of labs provide an experimental foundation for the concepts introduced in online lectures.
What we can do in a virtual reality is essentially make anything possible. You can go anywhere, do anything, work with any type of equipment, no matter how expensive or rare it is, because we just create it virtually.
For example, in the course University Physics Lab 1, students use computer simulations to experiment with objects and momentum. The outcomes are for students to observe the conservation of momentum. Lab kit. Lab kits are commercial kits that students order to conduct labs at home. As an example, in the biology course, Vertebrate Zoology, students purchase a pre-selected kit of tools.
In this biology course, the lab component is actually very unique because learners have to order a dissection kit that includes dead specimens, like this perch here, and also all the supplies required for dissecting the specimen. To guide them, several teaching assistants and ASU Online media team recorded instructional videos to demonstrate the various procedures.
Kitchen labs. These types of labs are conducted using household or easily obtainable items and performed in the home or kitchen. Conducted using tap water, Epsom salt, plastic wrap, and a large bowl, students in the Chemistry and Society course examine the scientific principles that focus on technology, social issues, and everyday life. This specific lab results in students recognizing the effects hard water has on plumbing and household fixtures. Video labs. These lab activities are conducted by a professional on video, followed by a dataset that students interpret and analyze. Often used for labs that are too expensive, difficult, or dangerous to complete unsupervised at home. In the engineering course Fundamentals of CMOs and MEMs, students watch a video of the lab demonstration for an etching tool in a real clean room, and then use the data from the process to work together in small groups in the online environment to complete the lab report.
Online labs can teach the same concepts and procedures as traditional labs. They are more affordable, flexible, customizable, and depending on the context, much safer.
The ASU Digital Learning Platform leverages the latest in technology combined with the authentic lab experience to deliver high-quality learning experiences to ASU Online students.
Perfect. So hopefully that was useful to see how your students may complete labs if they choose to attend ASU Online. And I'll pass it off
The ASU Digital
to
Learning
Luis to talk more about other support services online students have.
Yes, and I might get a little bit giddy when I talk about this because this is where I believe our bread and butter truly lies. Once a student expresses interest in transferring into Arizona State University, they're immediately going to be assigned what we call enrollment coaches. And enrollment coaches are there to truly support that particular human being finding the right program fit for them. And we do that by getting to know the student first. So learning about their past, present, and what their goals are for the future, we help them determine exactly what program it is that's going to help best suit their needs. And we take into consideration their interest and their passions as well. Now, it doesn't stop there. Our enrollment coaches will continue to work with that student, providing support through the application process, whether that's obtaining supplemental documents and transcripts and getting that application as polished as it can be for consideration to admission, as well as helping the student once they reach an admission decision. So helping navigate the resources of ASU Online, connect them with academic advising, determine the appropriate courses to register for, and help them become a registered Sun Devil with us. And we're going to stick with those students all the way up until their very first day of class. With that being said, though, as soon as a student registers for their very first credit-bearing course, they'll be assigned a success coach as well. So as we go into the next slide, you'll see that our success coaches are slightly different than our enrollment coaches, where our enrollment coaches are going to help the student navigate what's the best program fit, help them submit an application, and help them become registered. Our success coaches will stay with the student all the way up through graduation. They're the single seamless point of contact between the student and all of the vast resources ASU has to offer. Now, part champion of success, part motivator, our success coaches provide that one-on-one interaction with students to help them balance life, work, and school. In addition, our success coaches truly help students with time management skills, setting realistic goals and expectations, and connecting the students to those timely resources that they may need in order to be successful. Both the enrollment coach and the success coach will communicate with students in the modality that best suits the student, whether that's phone, text, email, and for a registered student Slack. We have also introduced Zoom calls, so if they'd like to connect face-to-face as best we possibly can through a distance environment, we can do so as well. One of the unique benefits that we have for our transfer students, and I say unique, but it truly is just simply amazing, is our online student orientation. Our orientation is specifically designed to help students coming into ASU Online to understand how ASU Online works, meet other students that are going to be pursuing their education as well with ASU Online for the first time, and to really dive into the different tools and techniques that can help them navigate the world of online learning. What we've found since introducing the ASU Online Student Orientation, which is only 1 week in duration, is students that complete orientation retain stronger and graduate with higher GPAs than students who didn't take the ASU Online Orientation. Simply put, this puts the student at the best possible position to start strong and stay strong from the moment they start with ASU to the moment they graduate. Last but not least, I myself am a veteran, as I'm sure many of those on today's conversation are as well. And there's a very large population of currently serving service members and veterans who decide to attend ASU. In fact, we've shown 59% growth since 2020 for ASU students who've determined to be military or prior military service. We have dedicated support for our military learners who decide to transfer into ASU from our Pat Tillman Veterans Center, who provide support for both veterans and dependents on all things ASU, to our enrollment coaches, success coaches, and ASU Online Student Services teams, which provide specialized support for students who are utilizing Department of Veteran Affairs benefits and or active duty or reserve tuition assistance benefits from their respective branches. Last but not least, we've created unique partnerships with a variety of different corporations to include, going back to the previous slide, the United States Air Force and the United States Navy, AirU and the Navy Community College, respectively. We've assisted them in developing curriculum for the armed forces in their respective colleges, as well as provide assistance to students who are finishing their associate's degrees with AirU and the United States Naval Community College and transferring into ASU Online to complete their bachelor's degree. Last but not least, we have even more cool corporate partnerships that we're really eager to jump out at you. So we'll go to the next slide and I will pass it off to Jelena, I believe.
Great. As you might have picked up, partnering and partnership and collaboration are sort of name of the game. And particularly in the transfer space, we believe that partnership between community colleges and universities, between military services and higher ed institutions are incredibly important. But in that line, so are the corporate partnerships. So we believe that partnering on a corporate level, ASU will provide access to leading educational technology, but also many benefits such as tuition coverage, personal financial counseling, We talked about success coaching, including enrollment coaching, but in general, we wanted to highlight two partnerships, which are just among many, that many of your students can and have been utilizing. We see a lot of students who transfer to ASU join one of these two organizations to pursue the last 2 years of their academic undergraduate career. So the Starbucks College Achievement Plan has been developed in 2014 and has been incredibly successful. It is first of its kind partnership, and partners or employees at Starbucks who are benefit eligible and who are pursuing their first time bachelor degree are able to finish their degree with 100% tuition coverage through the SCAP program between ASU and Starbucks. So Elizabeth and I work in this space a lot, and we hear from academic advisors that sometimes their students literally get associate's degree, get the job in Starbucks, so they can finish the rest of their schooling loan-free. And currently we have over 20,000 participants in this program with 8,500 graduates. Starbucks also covers something known as a pathway to admission program in a few slides. Luis will talk about this program more. It's something we're so proud of because it really lives up to our inclusivity. And Starbucks students can choose any online degree program that ASU Online offers. So it's just absolutely incredible, and we're so proud to be part of this. Uber and Uber Eats partnership has been newer but successful in its own way. It's growing continuously. Again, 100% tuition coverage is available for qualifying drivers, delivery people, and has been extended to staff as Uber and Uber as well. Uber contractors can get their bachelor degree, can take upskilling courses in English if that's what they are needing for their professional development, or take classes in entrepreneurship. And additional benefits, kind of an angle for this particular Uber partnership, is that the reward can be passed on to a family member of a driver, be it spouse, child, sibling, parent, or legal guardian. Again, there are many other partnerships that are available, but we wanted to highlight these two because Starbucks and Uber are kind of all over the country. So it might be something that you can suggest to your students as they're getting close to completing their associates and looking to move forward. And with that, we wanted to talk a little bit about transfer tools, and I will turn it over to Elizabeth to get us going in that direction.
Yeah, so I'll get us started with a couple of our transfer tools. We like to talk about the transfer requirements for students. So as you can see here, we have those listed out. We like to focus on the bottom one in gold because we do hope that students complete their associate's degree at the community college. But of course, we will meet them where they are when they are ready to transfer. So with a completed associate's degree, they need a 2.5 cumulative transfer GPA for non-Arizona residents. Some of our degree programs do require a higher GPA, but they will see that through several of our transfer tools, and their enrollment coach will be well aware of that as well. So that should be no surprise to the student when they're ready to transfer. And I'll pass it over to Luis.
Thinking back to the ASU charter, we measure ourselves not by whom we exclude, but by whom we include. We introduce ASU Universal Learner courses. You'll hear this referred to as Pathway to Admission for our SCAP learners. You'll hear this referred to as Earned Admissions for all other corporate partners, as well as traditional core students that are transferring into ASU, or just any students in general. Students who are deemed not admissible for an ASU online undergraduate program are not denied admission. They're simply not admissible. And they will be offered what we call earned admission. Earned admission is taking a series of courses online from ASU that will count towards their degree program. But the best part is it costs $25 to start the course. And then once you finish the course and get the grade that you want, you can then pay after you pass that course to convert it to college credits. Now, there'll be a number of courses that students will need to successfully pass and convert to credit before they earn admission into ASU. Generally speaking, no more than 8. And every single course that they take via Universal Learner courses to earn admission into ASU will count towards their degree program. So once a student finishes Universal Learner courses in the Earned Admissions program, they will be admitted into any ASU Online undergraduate degree program that have our general admission requirements. Each of those courses that they completed in the Universal Learner courses platform will count towards their degree completion. And they are simply starting their bachelor's degree with ASU Online in a slightly different path. However, one additional note, students that enter into ASU Online via Universal Learner courses are actually retaining and once again, graduating with a higher GPA than students that enter into ASU Online through traditional means. So again, going right back to the ASU charter, we understand that education should be accessible, and we're providing as many avenues as we possibly can to assist learners in pursuing their degree.
Wow, Luis, I didn't even know about the retention for the students, but I guess this is benefit when you get to hang out with the assistant of enrollment. The assistant director, oh, this is great. Yeah, I'm one of the instructors for the ASU orientation. And when students in discussion posts share that they have entered into ASU through the earned admission program, it just warms my heart because it's one more obstacle that we have managed to remove. But anyway, there are many, many tools that our students have at their disposal when they're coming to transfer to ASU. There are degree search tools, there are career search tools. A super fun one is Me3 Game. It's basically an updated, modernized version of the old high school career quiz. Not only do I advise students to take it, but my colleagues have taken it. Advisors across community college landscape have taken it. It's basically a game that allows quiz taker to select almost instinctively between 60 pairs of images displaying various professional moments or instances, and thus gives an idea what are we intrinsically drawn to. Again, often a starting point for our enrollment coaches to explore careers and then subsequently degrees with the students they're working with. Second one, of course, is the program search page or pages that allow students to just dive deeper into the degrees that we have, not only see exact major map or all the classes they will be taking, but understand the intricacies of the program, the careers that will lead to, and even explore the salaries that those careers will offer based on their geolocation or where they are living and studying from. And finally, ASU Online is a part of the campus quiz as well. So if someone like I takes a quiz, and I have, and before I started taking classes at ASU for fun, I have a job, I have a family, I need flexibility. So when I took the campus quiz, unsurprisingly, it was suggested for me to take online courses, which was a great suggestion. So these are just few tools that equip your students to transfer with knowledge and confidence that they have done exploration for their future. And why is ASU investing in developing pathway programs? Well, as everything else, it's based on the research. What we have found out, the transfer students who are on pathway are almost 28% more likely to be retained than transfer students who are not. And this is true for both early on during their community college years and later on once they transfer to ASU. So getting students on the pathway towards the university degree is really helpful to them and to both institutions they're working with. And unsurprisingly, students who can transfer 90% of their credits are 2.5 times more likely to get a bachelor degree, because obviously all the time, all the effort, all the money they have put towards getting the classes at a community college really amplify when they're actually able to transfer those courses. So based on that research, ASU has developed My Path to ASU that works for both immersion and ASU Online. And it's a set of customized tools that allows each student to develop their own pathway at their community college based on the degree they're looking to take at ASU. And thus, class by class, it will minimize loss of credit because they will know exactly what to take. It will definitely save them time and money. As an added benefit, students who are on My Path to ASU will have guaranteed ASU admission if all the requirements are satisfied. This tool is free. It's available to all the students, regardless if our two institutions have articulation agreement. And again, it works for ASU Online programs. And with that, I will pass it to Elizabeth to quickly demonstrate what your students will see once they choose to look at My Path to ASU.
Yes, so as Jelena stated, this is available to all students, even if they're just kind of exploring ASU as one of their many options. So this is the first page that they'll see. They will select whether they want an online program or a campus program, and they'll drop down the major and select what major they may be interested in looking at. They'll then fill in the other drop downs. And once they get to the institution drop down, they'll just start typing the name of their community college and it'll populate up and they can just select that. And once they press get started, it will load this page. So on the left-hand side, they'll see the column of the ASU courses. In the middle, they'll see the courses that are offered at your institution, the equivalencies, and then they'll see some additional information to the right of that. So they may see some classes that are familiar to them. They may see one of those lines that says submit evaluation. An advisor or a student is able to submit an evaluation. You typically get a response within 72 hours on if the course they submitted is an equivalency. And then kind of works like crowdsourcing. So say you have a student and you're submitting an evaluation for them, it comes back and it's equivalent. The next student that maybe searches for that degree or a degree that has that same course in it, they will not have to submit another evaluation. It'll already be loaded in there for them. So that's nice. And then you'll also see the section that has complete their associates in arts degree or search for a course. So they're just implicating that any class that went towards their associate's degree, for this example, humanities, would fill that bucket for the student. Student will then complete their pathway once they are kind of seeing a degree that they like, they're ready to move forward and complete their profile. It'll ask for simple information like their expected start term, their location, whether they're looking to go online, and then of course their email address and name. We utilize this so once the application opens for the term they're expecting to start, they'll get personalized email, outreach communication. If ASU is hosting events in their area, they'll also get information regarding that. And to complete their pathway, they will sign this consent form. So this does include the FERPA statement, so our two institutions can kind of share information back and forth. But another thing that this does is it does lock them into the catalog year for 4 years. So say they sign today on the 18th of October, they have 4 years from today, and they can know that the classes within their pathway aren't going to change. So that is really nice for those students that might take a little bit longer to complete their associate's degree at the community college. And I do like to note that this does not commit them to ASU. They could go through this whole process and decide to not even apply to ASU if their goals have changed or their decision has changed. So it is just kind of locking in that catalog year in that FERPA statement. They will then receive an email where they will verify their email address, just like any account we kind of make these days. And this is what their account will look like once they've created it. So they'll be able to view their transfer guides, and they'll be able to track their progress and update their transfer agreement. When they click that, they'll then see this screen. So it looks similar to that screen we saw a couple slides ago with the ASU courses and then the community college courses, but then they have the course progress drop down. So students can self-report whether they've completed the class, if it's in progress, or it's still on their list of classes to complete. So it's a nice checklist for students that kind of thrive on that marking things off their to-do list. So they can keep track how close they are to being ready to transfer and just track their progress to transferring to ASU. So that's my path to ASU. We hope that your students will utilize it and you'll explore it even as advisors. But I will pass it off to Luis to talk about tuition.
One of the most commonly asked questions that we encounter is, what is the difference between in-state versus out-of-state tuition, or resident versus non-resident tuition? With ASU Online, the cost per credit hour for our programs are going to be the same regardless of your location, whether you're in the state of Arizona or you're in another country. Our cost per credit hour for our tuition is going to be the same, which is outstanding, and it's nice for students who are transferring in from, again, a variety of different states to hear and understand. Our cost per credit hour for our programs can range anywhere between $561 to $661, dependent upon the program. And some programs have courses that will require special class fees dependent upon registration into those courses. That cost will not be associated here in the cost per credit hour. When students are interested in transferring into Arizona State University online, and they connect with one of my enrollment coaches, we will clearly outline what to expect when it comes towards the cost of their respective program. And one of the tools that we can also provide students is in the next slide. So our enrollment coaches will walk students through this ASU tuition estimator and to ensure that students have a general idea of what the cost will be like when pursuing ASU Online. So our ASU tuition estimator, simply put, following the prompts, will give an estimate to the student of what the potential cost would be for attending ASU Online. They simply pop in the academic year, their residency status. Again, this won't change the tuition estimator for ASU Online students. However, if you selected that you were pursuing a ground campus program, it might be slightly different. So they'll choose their residency status, their student status, and then last but not least, for their location. In this instance, they would choose ASU Online. And then on the right-hand side, where the gray box is, will populate an estimated cost for the respective terms. And the student can toggle between the number of credit hours the student plans to take. So for instance, if we are pursuing this upcoming spring start and the student says, I want to pursue 6 total credit hours in spring, 1 course in the A session and 1 course in the B session, they would simply add that to that tuition estimator, and then they'll have a predicted cost of what the ASU Online tuition would be. Again, our enrollment coaches will help students navigate this particular website, as well as do this for students to give them a good estimate of what ASU Online tuition would cost. In addition, we have an amazing scholarship page by going to scholarships.asu.edu, where students can search for potential scholarship opportunities that may be available to them should they meet the eligibility requirements, apply, and be awarded. So by simply searching through the various parameters or search filters within the scholarship search, it will populate any potential scholarships that would fit those particular filters. One key note, and we've included it here, is the notes are very highly limiting. Meaning if your search does not yield any results, that doesn't necessarily mean there might not be any scholarships available. It just may mean that you need to refine those filters to expand that web a little bit more. For students that are interested in scholarship opportunities, we always encourage them. It's the first step to go to scholarships.asu.edu. But in addition to that, we have an amazing financial aid and student services team that are available to interested students to learn about other scholarship opportunities and to walk them through other portals that we have available that can help widen that search. Last, but I believe not least, actually, that was it. So thank you so much. If anybody has questions for their learners that are interested in transferring to ASU Online, they want to speak with myself, who again, I work within the enrollment center. So our coaches would be interacting with your students interested in transferring. By all means, my email address is here on screen. I am unfortunately tied to my email everywhere that I go. However, I will be as responsive as humanly possible. And then I'll turn it over to Jelena and Elizabeth for any final notes that they have. And don't forget to pop any questions in the Q&A box as we're trying to answer them live for you as well.
Yes, wonderful. And thank you, Elise, for answering the questions that we already have. Our goal today was to get you acquainted with ASU Online, have you feel comfortable with talking to your students who are interested in transferring to ASU Online, and share opportunities and tools that ASU has. Elizabeth and I constantly and consistently give presentations to advising teams. So if you are part of the team that might want to learn more about ASU in general or ASU Online, you have our emails. Please reach out to either one of us. And we have direct connection to Luis if we have any questions. So feel free to send us your students. We will forward them to either enrollment or to ASU Immersion. And please stay in touch. And we hope this presentation was very useful to you. And we're going to stick around for a few minutes to see if you had any other questions. But if you have them 5 minutes from now, just send us an email.
Thank you. We have a question here for the minimum transfer requirements. Do we want to go back to slide 21 if we can, really quickly? All right, so I don't want to mispronounce your name, Paolo. Here are the transfer requirements for students who would be coming to ASU and be considered a transfer student. Hopefully this kind of helps in nature. So any student that has fewer than 12 total credit hours completed that are transferable to ASU, we would consider them a first-year student for admission and financial aid purposes. Students that have between 12 and 23 completed credit hours, those students would need to meet our first-year admission requirements still. So their credits can still transfer in. However, we would base their admission off of our first-year admission requirements for first-year students. But any student with 24 or more completed credit hours would be, they would simply just need to have a 2.5 cumulative GPA or higher for their transfer work. And if you have a completed associate's degree, obviously, again, similar in nature, a 2.5 cumulative transfer GPA is going to be required, and for non-Arizona residents as well. But we like to think if you have 24 or more completed credit hours, if you have a 2.5 cumulative GPA or higher, you are going to be admitted into an ASU online program. And for those with 23 or fewer credit hours, you'll need to meet first year admission requirements, which may include a specific SAT or ACT score, class ranking, or GPA for our competency courses, and you need to meet at least one of those. We walk through that with each individual student, though, by getting to know them, getting to know their past, their present, and what they hope to achieve. And then we will guide students for the best possible path for them. Some students, the path isn't necessary to apply to ASU today, but rather complete more credit hours with their respective community colleges so they can achieve that 2.5 cumulative transfer GPA or higher. It makes it a lot easier and more cost effective for the learner. Sorry, I'm trying to read the Q&A section, so by all means, cut me off, Jelena and Elizabeth.
And then as Luis is reading, and again, for those degrees that have a higher GPA requirement, some our business or engineering programs, all the websites, including My Path to ASU, state that immediately so student knows exactly what they're working towards.
One of the questions here, are there major specific course requirements? Yes, depending on the program in which you're admitted, each major map for the completion of that bachelor degree will vary. For example, if you're pursuing a Bachelor of Arts in Business Administration, there are specific courses that you'll require to complete with ASU in order to earn that bachelor's degree, which would be vastly different than, say, a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. So there are specific course requirements for each individual major. However, when it comes to transferring coursework in from a previous institution into ASU, no, there would not be. You would still have to meet those major requirements to earn your bachelor's degree for that major while with ASU, but in order to be admissible, there wouldn't be. And then another question came in, can you apply to ASU ahead of time? And then when you're done with before or prior to being complete with 2 years of community college, or do you have to wait? You can apply for ASU at any point in time you would like, so long as the application for the term in which you plan to attend with us is open. So for example, if you were not yet complete with your time at your local community college that you wanted to spend or completing your associate's degree, but you know you're going to be completing it in December, you can absolutely apply for our Spring A Start, which starts in January. You can apply now, get an admissions decision now, knowing that you are on track to complete your remaining courses. We would simply ask for a completed transcript once your associates is conferred, or once your final grades are posted on an official transcript to be sent prior to start, to make sure that that admission decision remains valid. In addition, we have students very often apply even beyond our next available start. So we have students right now that are applying for our March start date currently, because they know that they're going to be completing their degree in December or their transfer work in December, and they wanted to take a little bit of a break, which I also highly recommend from time to time as well. I've gone through 2 programs with ASU before, and each time I said, I'm going to take a break. And unfortunately, I didn't. I look back and I'm glad I didn't, but I wish I did still. So taking a break is not unhealthy by any stretch of the imagination. This is fun.
Yeah,
Keep them coming.
Any other questions? And I think we didn't even mention, but one thing we were super proud of, that the My Path to ASU has reached 1 million course equivalencies. I shouldn't talk in passive, because the team has worked really, really hard to include 1 million course equivalencies for colleges across the United States. So when we're done with the presentation, hop on to My Path to ASU and see how many course equivalencies are there for your institution.
Another question came in. What's the tuition for grad in-state residents? Just again, want to advocate for our tuition or cost per credit hour. It remains the same whether they're in-state or out of state. It, for the graduate level, can very much vary depending on the program in which you apply and are admitted into. So dependent on the specific program of choice by the learner, for that graduate program, for example, that cost can vary. So we always encourage students that are interested specifically in one specific program to connect with one of us, so that way we can walk them through what that cost associated for that master's program may be. Do students need to finish English, math, comm, etc. for the 24 units? No. So when we think about the number of credit hours here within 12 to 23, 24 plus, etc., this is just simply transferable credit hours. So if you had a course that we have an equivalency for, the students completed it, that will count towards the credit hours completed and count towards that cumulative transfer GPA. So no, they do not. However, if they haven't taken those courses and they're admitted into ASU, those will likely be among some of the first courses that we would recommend students to take, dependent on their major map and what they've already completed. We'll always do a holistic review of the transferable credit hours that are coming in, matching that to the program of interest that the student was admitted into, and then working with their academic advisor, advising them on the appropriate courses to take that won't be too burdensome for the student to start off too soon with, and to make sure that they remain on track to graduate. Oh, sorry, Elizabeth, you marked that you wanted to answer that question live. Okay, cool. And then calendar of events or vacations, how many classes do you need to take?
And I have put in the chat to everyone, I have put a calendar, academic calendar for ASU. And you will notice not only we have fall 22, but we have spring 23. And if your students are really planners, they can even plan for the summer. And most of the students at ASU Online take between 1 to 3 courses per 7.5-week session. And that, of course, will depend on their degree, but it would also depend on their flexibility, whether they want to be part-time, full-time. And students can also adjust their schedule depending on their life. So maybe in session A, which was August to October, it's a really, really busy at work, or they have travel planned. They will take 1 class, but then they will really push it up and take 3 classes in a session B. Because the sessions are condensed, there is more flexibility to a schedule. And Luis, did you want to add anything to the number of classes students take?
Yeah, absolutely. We will always work with the students, both the enrollment coach, the success coach, and the academic advisors. We are one big team. We always just want to make sure that whatever course load that the student takes on is going to be appropriate and achievable. So if that means taking 1 course, take 1 course. If you feel comfortable and confident in taking 2 courses, take 2 courses at a time. There's no requirement for a particular number of courses with our ASU Online undergraduate degrees, which is awesome, and it definitely helps. The goal is for a student to graduate, not to take a few courses, get overwhelmed, and then not finish their degree. So we always work with the students, and then we lean them towards those resources like the success coaches that can help with time management, 360 life services that can help with everything that you can think of when it comes to free and confidential counseling services, as well as tutoring services and more. So we'll always encourage a student to only take the number of courses that they can shoulder, so that way they can be successful. Then there's another question here for the max amount of transferable credits accepted. ASU can accept up to 64 total credit hours. However, for every individual student, we will do a holistic review of their previous completed credit hours and ensure that any credits that have been completed that are applicable to the program in which they were admitted to will be recognized to the best of our ability. So while yes, a max of 64 total credit hours could be transferred into an ASU Online undergraduate degree program, there may be some additional stipulations. You may have to complete a specific number of credit hours with ASU in order to be able to complete the major that the student's registered for. So we'll work with students on a case-by-case and individual basis, just like we do for everything else, to make sure that the student is well informed and understands whatever decisions are made when it comes to transferring in credit hours. is ASU Online eligible for state and federal grants for students? It's a great question. I don't want to provide any inaccurate information. However, I can tell you that ASU Online students, when applying via FAFSA, are eligible for federal grants that come along with filing for the FAFSA. For state-specific grants and things of that nature, I'm not 100% sure, but I am confident that if somebody is trying to provide ASU money to help fund an education, ASU is not going to be shy away from likely taking that money and applying it to your tuition. But for those specific questions, what we always encourage our students to do, and for any educators that are assisting students, is we can connect you with our financial aid and student services team. So if you're thinking of a very specific state grant or federal grant to ensure that it's applicable for ASU Online, we can definitely point you in the right direction and connect you with a subject matter expert that can provide you accurate information.
And
Whenever it comes with money, that's important for us.
in the meantime, I have added an article to our chat that you can look into to give you some overview of how FAFSA and ASU Online work.
When I'm done first semester in college, I can apply to ASU still. Does ASU have learning disability services? Yes, this is a fantastic question. It shows up anonymous here, but the question is, when I'm done with my first semester in college, can I still apply to ASU? And does ASU have learning disability services, and how does that work? So to answer your very last question first, because I get excited about it, absolutely. So Jelena just posted in the chat the eoss.asu.edu/accessibility. That will take you to our sales website. Students who have the need to or just general interest in seeing if they may be accommodated for a disability or something along those lines, definitely, and we highly encourage, reach out to sales. That website that Jelena just posted. What sales will do is they will determine if we can make any accommodations based on your unique specific scenario, and if so, make sure to work in tandem with both you as the student and the faculty members of the courses that you are going to take to ensure that those accommodations are made for you, which is, it's one of the, I say it a lot, but this is top of the line, one of the best things that I think ASU does for our students, to make sure that everybody has that access to their education. And yes, you can apply to ASU at any point in time during your current educational journey. But again, dependent on the individual student, when we connect with you, we're going to make sure that we determine when the best and most opportune time for you and your particular scenario is. Some instances that may mean waiting a bit longer before you apply to ASU. Other times it would be to apply to ASU now. Each individual human that we get a chance to work with, we are going to look at your particular scenario holistically and help navigate that with you to make sure it's the best decision in your interest so you can complete your education.
This is more fun than I ever thought we can have in a presentation. How active you are. Thank you for all the questions. In about 2 minutes, powers that be will automatically shut down this webinar. So I don't want us to leave without saying thank you for attending. And Elizabeth, if you don't mind going back to that last slide with our contact information, I just want to make sure that you get the information for all three of us. Feel free to contact Elizabeth and me at any time. I know Luis is open too, but since our responsibility actually is working with community college advisors and sharing ASU information, please contact us first. We will definitely get all the information from Luis that might pertain to ASU Online. And thanks again for joining us today.
Thank you, everybody.